Hey, hi, hello, friends. Today we're talking about Amber, and I promise it won't take 4 hours. So, we are going to be talking today about Amber's 4 hour live. I have, of course, condensed it down for brevity, as one is wont to do. And I think it's about 12 minutes or 13 minutes long. So, we're just going to go through it. I'm going to talk. You guys know the drill. I go yap, 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 yap. You guys seem to enjoy it, and the world goes on. Anyway, yeah, let's get right into it. Before we actually, let me back up for 1 second. Before we talk about the video itself, I just want to say one really quick thing about the fact that she canceled her previous live. Was I disappointed that she didn't keep to the schedule? A little. But beyond that, I wasn't surprised. Even for scheduled stuff, even if we say that this is her job, every once in a while stuff happens. You can't make it. You can't do the live. It's fine. I think the reason why a lot of people were upset is because Amber has a history of just like canceling or stopping to do things that she promised that she would do. And she has a lack of follow through in almost every regard. And so when she cancels something, people expect that it's not a one-time deal. So like, say if she wants to do 100 days of uploading and she misses it one day, she's very prone to just saying, okay, well, I've missed one day, so now I'm not going to bother trying to complete it at all. I'm just going to do whatever I want. I'll just stop uploading. And stuff like that. You know, like she does this with food a lot where you eat one wrong thing during the day and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, apparently I'm not on track, so let me just eat whatever I want for the rest of the day. That's not really how it works. That's not how you should be thinking of it. It's not an all or nothing mindset. And 24-hour period is very arbitrary. Like I know everyone's been saying it during COVID, but time really is a man-made concept. It is very abstract. Like just because you're eating calories in a 24-hour period and you're like, well, the next day, I'll just start over again, doesn't mean those calories count any less. Just doing it in a 24-hour period doesn't mean that all of a sudden, that there's that hard concrete deadline and that's when your caloric counter like resets. It's a continuum. Everything's a continuum. So I wasn't surprised by it. I was kind of irritated by it, but really not all that much. As long as she keeps to the schedule going forward, I think every once in a while having to reschedule or cancel is not that big of a deal. And she did come back on and she did do 4 hours. So there is that. With all that said, let's get into the react.
I've never seen so many Karens get upset over a live stream getting rescheduled. I've never seen it either. Like, it is, the way that I am treated is definitely different. And I have a lot of people who used to be like haters or trolls or whatever, like reaching out to me, like being like, bro, things are worse than ever. Like, you get treated so crazy compared to everyone else. And I know, I do.
Okay, people getting upset about her canceling a live stream. I can understand if you feel like you're paying for a product and you don't get it. I can understand them being upset. Now, the level to which I think people were upset was maybe a little bit uncalled for, but I also explained why people were a little bit more upset than they would be if it was any other creator. Amber has a history of not following through with things, so it would make perfect sense to me that people would see her canceling once and be like, oh, okay, she's scrapping it all together. So the thing that we were getting in exchange for the money that we're giving her, we're no longer getting now. And she does get treated different. But you also have to understand, yes, you are morbidly obese, but that's not the only thing that sets you apart from other people. You have also scammed, you have lied, you have deceived your audience, you have manipulated their emotions, you have made up fabrications and stories in the past, you have not followed through. So when people are looking at your channel history and they're making their decisions based on that, you can't then say, oh, well, people are treating me different. Of course they're treating you different. You behave differently than other people. If you behave the same as everybody else and the only differentiating factor was the fact that you are the weight that you are, I wouldn't be surprised. Thank you, sister. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised, but that's not the only thing. There's a pattern with you, a documented pattern of poor behavior. And so now you've blown any goodwill, any trust that people have had in you. And so when you do something that's perceived as being bad, quote unquote, and sometimes even without the quotation marks, it's bad, people are not willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. They're not willing to cut you any slack. As for people reaching out to her and saying, well, you really do get treated very differently and haters and whatnot reaching out to her, I don't know how much of that is true. I don't really trust Amber's word. I'll trust her more than Foodie's for sure, but not objectively as much. And she may have people who reached out to her who previously did not like her, but I think a lot of that also has to do with the recontextualization of her channel and her life in comparison to Chantel's, because they are intricately linked, right? They bounce back and forth of each other. Chantel defends Amber, Amber defends Chantel. Chantel talks shit of Amber, Amber talks shit of Chantel in the past, not anymore. And people who talk about one oftentimes tend to talk about the other. I think the big notable exception that I'm thinking of right now is SmokeySteveAndMarc, who don't really talk very much about Amber at all, but are pretty heavily involved with Chantel, right? So people see them as a package deal. I don't think they should, but they do kind of see them as a package deal. So when Amber comes on here and she's like, well, you know, I get treated so badly compared to other people and I've had haters reach out to me. I'm like, yeah, well, those haters might also be watching Chantel and they might think, well, Amber might suck, but at least she's not doing coke, you know? Which I don't think really is a fair comparison. Addiction sucks, and that shouldn't be one of the reasons we don't like Chantel. It's the stuff surrounding the addiction is the reason why we shouldn't be liking Chantel. For example, her continuous lying, her continuous use of channel money essentially for drugs, her gaslighting, her manipulating, her just overall gross toxic behaviors, and the fact that she thinks she knows better. Oh my God, I have thoughts on that Farm Boy video, so that'll be coming out tomorrow. Tomorrow? Yeah, probably tomorrow. Anyway, so with Amber, yeah, people might feel like you've changed, but I don't think that you've changed so much as you've just been put in a better light because Chantel has been put in a significantly worse one. And human beings are not great at absolutes, but we're very, very good with comparatives.
If you could get any tattoo right now, what would you get and why? Love you, by the way. I love you. There are so many different tattoos that I want. If I was literally to get a tattoo right in this very moment, it would probably be my birthday in numeral numbers?
Roman numerals.
Why am I, like, my brain's not working today, I think.
Okay. I could say so many things about her being a narcissist based on the fact that she wants to get a tattoo of her own birthday on her arm, but tattoos tend to be very symbolic, so I'm not going to say anything too much in regards to that. What I will say is that I really want to get a tattoo myself. I want to get a Triskelion, which is, it symbolizes Trinity, so mother, grandmother, granddaughter, father, son, grandfather, that kind of thing. And I like the continuity of it. I like the continuity of it. I pronounced that wrong. I just kind of, I don't know, I vibe with it, I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah, it's weird to me to get something that's about you and only really you on your body. Because you already know your life. Why do you need a reminder of it? But then again, I don't have the same mental health struggles as she does. So maybe it is like inspirational to think, well, I was born, I'm here, I matter. But if you guys have any opinions on this, if you guys have had tattoos, could you please let me know down below what you think of this? I don't have any right now. And like I said, I only ever want the one tattoo that I just mentioned. So it's like, I don't really have as much to add to this conversation, I guess.
Because lack of food, like literally. How are you able to take care of your animals? But you just said you were trying to work on being able to just walk to the mailbox. The mailbox is really far. We live in a really big apartment complex. It's not like a typical, oh, the mailbox is right in front of your house situation.
I mean, we saw you walking to that tree when you were living with Eric and Ricky. So when you're saying, well, the mailbox is really far, how far is it actually? Because to you, just walking back and forth from that tree, I think that was about like 3 minutes. That was a lot of walking for you. You had difficulty doing just that much walking. So I don't know what this means. I don't know, when you say it's really far, do you mean it's like half a mile walk? In which case I'd say, yeah, I agree with you. That's kind of far for a mailbox. Do you mean it's just like an extra 10 steps, which wouldn't mean anything to a regular person, but could mean a lot? As for the comment of, well, you can't even walk to the mailbox, it really doesn't matter how far it is inside of a gated community. I've lived in these gated giant apartment building complexes, and what I can tell you is that they don't have one centralized location if there's a lot of apartments, right? They'll split it into smaller sections so that it's easily accessible to people, because if they put the mailboxes too far away, people get annoyed with that. People don't like going to the mailboxes that are super far away from them just to get their shit. So when Amber comes here and on here and she says, well, it's really far and that's why it's hard, but taking care of my animals is easy. Twinkie is a dog. Twinkie needs a lot of exercise. And Twinkie's a morbidly obese dog too. So Twinkie needs a fair amount of exercise to stay happy, healthy, and just within the range of normal for body weight. And he's not getting any of that. You can't walk, and I don't know about Becky's situation right now, but if you're claiming that you can take care of your animals, you should be able to walk like, I don't know, half a mile or something to walk your dog. I mean, thank God, like Twinkie's a smaller dog. If it was a bigger dog, it would be even harder because they need even more exercise. That's why that comment is there. The fact that you're treating it as just like, oh, they're just a hater. They're not. This is a very logical comment. It makes a lot of sense to me, even if the mailbox is further than they expected, because Twinkie will need more exercise than can be provided by just walking to that mailbox, no matter how far it is.
It's not like that. I can very much take care of my own animals. I do all the time.
The only thing that I think she considers part of taking care of the animals is making regular vet appointments, and even that we've seen her hit and miss sometimes, and like feeding them. Which, yes, feeding them is part of taking care of them, but it's not the only thing that's part of taking care of them. When you take care of anything, you have to understand, you have to keep their needs in mind, right? Like, if you have a child, it's not just giving them food is not enough. You have to interact with them. You have to take them to play dates. You have to put them in school, pick up, drop off. If you've got a dog, you got to take them to get groomed. You got to get them to get trimmed. You have to get all of their shots. You have to take them for exercise. That is the one thing that I've noticed. Children, fur babies, everything. And she says she wants to be a mom. That's why I use the example of kids. She says she wants to be a mom. You have to get exercise into all of these creatures, human babies and fur babies alike. All of them need exercise. All of them need interactivity. All of them need to move their muscles for just something as simple as bowel movements. Do you know how big of a difference it makes when you're active and you're getting exercise? Like, bowel movements are so much easier. And I know that sounds kind of TMI and gross, but that can be an issue for animals and kids. So you can't even do the basics of taking care of them. And I know this sounds cruel, especially because in the light of her surgery and her losing her ability to have a natural born child, that it might be hurtful for her to hear that, hey, maybe you shouldn't have kids. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry that it's hurtful. I really am. I really, really am. But if you can't take care of a child the way that you need to take care of them, then please don't have kids. And I include adopting in that. Because a dog, while they're also suffering, don't get me wrong, their threshold for suffering is significantly lower than a human being's threshold for suffering. Right? A dog isn't, for example, going to need like PTSD related therapy, but a child might. If you can't take them anywhere, if you can't do anything with them, if they're going to be trapped in the house and miserable with you all the time, or God forbid, even never asking them, you implicitly put them in a position where they have to become your caretaker, and you basically put them through adultification at a very young age. Like, all of that will have very severe negative emotional consequences on that child. So, no, I don't think you're taking care of your pets the way they need to be taken care of. The cats, maybe, because cats don't need to be walked. But Twinkie, no, I don't agree with you at all. And her very long, elongated toenails are the example for that. And if this is how you treat your pet, then I am not sure that you are ready to be a mom. And I don't know if that will ever change.
Every single day.
Rarely ever.
I think the people complaining that you aren't as fun as you used to be are the same people who have destroyed your spirits. Wow.
No, they're not. Because the people who've destroyed, quote unquote, her spirits, people who are complaining about her, are people who never found her entertaining to begin with. I don't find Amber to be an entertaining person, but I find the larger story beats of her life, much like Chantel, to be interesting. There is a difference between the two of them. I am 9 times out of 10 bored to near tears by the larger story beats of Amber's channel. But much like trash television, by the intricacies of by Amber's channel, but much like trash television and stuff like that, I like the larger beats of what's happening. I like knowing sort of what's going on, right? Like, there are shows that I watch where I don't care about the day-to-day happenings of each individual character, but I like knowing the intricate like story building. I like knowing what's going to happen at the end. And then there are shows that I need to know every single detail about, right? Like, so if you've watched Attack on Titan, I like knowing every single thing about that show because that show is amazing. But when it comes to watching something like I don't know, 600-pound Lyfe. I'm just using that because we're talking about Amber. It's the first thing that comes to mind. When I'm watching that, I don't care about every detail of that person's life. What I like knowing are the larger elements, right? Like how much weight did they lose? Did they qualify for surgery? Did they undergo the surgery? Was everything okay? You know, a lot of times I'm not very engaged with, you know, the family drama, the family struggles they might be having. And that might just be me. I don't think so. I think a lot of people are not very engaged with that, and I think it serves more as filler. But whatever. So no, when you come on here and you say the same people who are saying you're not fun anymore are the people who destroyed your spirit, no, because the people who destroyed your spirit, quote unquote, are not the people who enjoyed your channel to begin with, ever.
That almost like, that brought some tears to my eyes.
Wow, so many tears.
Because
her and Laura Lee should talk, because my God, the level of tears, she's near sobbing, y'all.
You're right.
She's not.
I am 100% not the same as what I used to be on here. I feel like my heart has turned kind of cold when it comes to making videos and being on live stream. Yeah, wow.
So, yes, she has changed. I would hope that she has changed. For one thing, she's been on here for 8 years and she is now plus 30. So you should not be the same person that you were in your early 20s as you are in your 30s. Fundamentally not. Your brain develops, changes, you grow, you mature, you become an adult. And given what a hot mess you were at the beginning of your channel, you should hope that you are no longer the same person. Now, I personally think that Amber hasn't actually fundamentally changed as much as I would hope, because if she had, then she would be better. But any growth we have seen is not necessarily a bad thing. Still, I will say she gets a huge amount of criticism. A huge amount. Amber has gotten it for years. And not to say that a lot of it isn't deserved, but I can understand how that would take an emotional toll on you. But nobody is drafted to be a YouTuber. No one asked me to start this channel and talk about my thoughts. If I didn't want to be here, I can basically deactivate my channel, my account, and then leave. If you don't want to be here anymore, then leave. This is optional. This is voluntary. This is how you make money. She claims, I think in this video or another video, that she made almost $1 million off of being in YouTube. So you're well compensated for your struggles. But when you're coming on here and you're telling me that, well, I'm not the same anymore, my heart turned cold, I feel for you. But you can either A, talk to a therapist about this to help you cope with the negative aspects that come with being a YouTuber, or quit. But if you're not willing to do any of that, you just have to understand that you accept the suffering that comes with this job. Is this how it should be? Maybe not. But that's how it is. That's the community you've built. That's the community you've fostered. And her more than Chantel has fostered this community, let's be very frank. Right? Because Amber's community was very positive in the beginning. They really loved her in the beginning. They turned sour over the 8 years that she's been on here, and she's basically stagnated. And as for the live streams, the only reason she's doing the live streams now is because they give her the ability to get more money out of her channel, I think, than she was getting before. Because I think before, with just doing regular recorded videos, while she could insulate herself from the hate a little bit better that way, I think that she was experiencing channel death, which she's been experiencing for a while now. This gives her the ability to get more money, and I think she took it. So once more, I'm sorry that you're suffering, but you're getting paid very well for it. So when you come here and you say, I'm really hurt, it's so bad, you guys don't even know, I am less inclined to feel bad for you. It is, unfortunately, one of the drawbacks of this job. If you don't like it, that's perfectly fair, but then leave. That's all I can say.
It's just like constantly being abused like this and harassed and bullied. If you guys can't see it for what it is, then you're just as bad, because I've never seen anything like this in my life.
I would give you the example of Gabby Hanna, who gets a lot more hate than you do. Also deserved, I would say, right? She also gets a ton of hate. There's another creator that my sister actually told me about recently, Bella Porsche. I don't really know very much about her. She gets a ton of hate too. Very adorable, cute little girl, well, I don't know if she's like a girl, but like she's like a lady person, and she's very adorable. She's got like very baby features, and people hate on her a lot. There's some controversy there, especially regarding the rising sun flag. But beyond that, people also really hate on her just for being very cutesy. They accuse her of essentially pedophilia because she's adorable looking and has a childish demeanor, which is fucking ridiculous in my personal opinion. So I understand that you think you have a hate mob. And yes, maybe percentage-wise, you have more dedicated people who dislike you. But let's also be very honest with ourselves in that you didn't have this when you started. You didn't have this for the first few years that you were on the channel. And you were still very fat then. But you reap what you sow. When you consistently lie, when you consistently manipulate, when you gaslight your audience, when you're demeaning, belittling, when you are outright cruel to your animals on stream, on camera. You can't come back on here and then say, well, people are bullying me. Fuck yeah, I'm going to bully you. If you leave your dog quaking in pain at home, you better fucking believe I'm going to bully you. That's a bullyable offense. Sue me. Right? I don't sit here and call her names. The only thing I've called her is fat, which is an objective fact. Right? I don't sit here and say she's a death's door. I don't call her names. I don't do any of that. But I would very much strongly protest the title of bully and harassment. Talking about a public figure is not harassment. If I was at her home, the way that like paparazzi were with a lot of the young starlets back in like the early 2000s, that would be harassment. I sit in my own home, I look at videos and footage that you have put online and I watch it. There are people out there who 100% will dox everybody around you. In that case, you should take steps to actively prevent that. Right? You put Becky's full name on the internet. You put Becky's family on the internet. You put her mom's cancer diagnosis on the internet. When you put all that information out there, people have it now. And because you've cultivated a negative, toxic community, people are going to want to find out more. But the vast majority of reaction channels, at least the big ones, the ones that I've seen, they don't dig into your past. They don't go through all of this information. They talk only about the stuff that you present. That's not harassment. That's not bullying. I can have an opinion about something that you're doing. But if the only thing I'm sitting here, if the only criticism I'm offering here are that I think you're ugly, that's bullying. If I'm sitting here and saying that you make terrible choices all of the time and that I should not have to feel sympathy for you when you don't seem to feel sympathy for you, that's not harassment. That's not bullying. And even if I called you insulting names, if I'm offering other criticism, it might be mean, it might be harsh, it might be unproductive, but that's still not bullying. Bullying is not a productive thought, right? And I'll stand behind the fact that I don't think criticism needs to be productive. I don't have to sit here and tell her that you need to go to therapy so you can get your issues addressed. I do a lot of the times, but I don't need to be saying that. That's on you. Change is on you. I can just simply come on here and say that everything that you've done up to this point in life has led you to failures. I don't have to add the point that maybe try something different. That's on you. That's on you to figure out.
Ever. And trust me, I watch a lot of YouTubers. I'm around on the internet. Trust me, I love the internet. I've just never seen anything like it. And I could sit here and tell you right now, I could be a bitch. I could be rude. I could be passive aggressive. But everyone can be. Everyone can be. And I am becoming more of that the more that I am on here. And
a couple things. People get hate against them for all sorts of reasons. When she says that she's never seen people hate anyone the way that they hate her, Eugenia Cooney's still on here. Gabby Hanna is still on here. I mean, take Jeffree Star for fuck's sake, right? And sure, they have a lot more people who love them as well. But I can also say to that, in terms to Amber, that all of these other people also have produced more, right? Whatever you want to say about Gabby Hanna, her song Monster is a bop, right? I think she's a deplorable person, but that song's a bop. If you want to talk about Eugenia Cooney does her makeup very beautifully. She showcases a lot on her channel, right? And she has had a lot more things in her life than just this, just the food, just the body. She capitalizes on that just the same, but that's also why I think the hate towards her is very pinpointed. Take Jeffree Star. The man sucks, like immensely, and I will never buy anything from him. But the one time that I've touched his makeup, it was very good quality. So when we are looking at just Amber, there are no positives that I get. There's nothing that I get from Amber's channel back. So what am I supposed to praise her for? You haven't done anything. The only thing that you talk about on your channel that you had promised in the beginning of your channel was weight loss, and you haven't even accomplished that. You've in fact gained weight. So yes, you're right that you get a lot more hate. But I would say that the reason why others in similar positions to you, who also get massive amounts of hate, by the way, for their personalities, also get positive feedback is because they've done stuff for the positive feedback. You don't do anything. What do I give you the positive feedback for? Just existing? Why? I don't need to do that. That's not for me to do. That's unconditional love and acceptance. And I'm sorry that you didn't get it from your parents, but that's not on the internet. That's not what the internet is fundamentally there for.
People change when they're constantly being attacked and constantly like people are like super rude and they're getting told every day that they're fat and gross and 600 pounds and bedbound and disgusting and smell and you're a monster and you abuse Becky and your animals. You can't do anything for yourself. You can't even wipe your ass. Like when you're told those things every single day over and over and over and over and over. Yeah. My spirits, they get destroyed.
A couple things I'll add to this. Yeah, that can be a lot to hear every single day. That can be so hard to hear. But you know who could help you unpack that? A therapist. I'm sure that's also something you get told hundreds of times every single day, and you choose to completely ignore. As far as abusing Becky, I fully believe that you are abusing Becky in one form or another. It doesn't have to be hitting Becky because abuse entails a lot more than just physical stuff, right? It can be financial abuse, it can be emotional abuse, it can be reproductive abuse. There's a myriad of ways in which people can be toxic partners to each other. And not just women to other women or men to women. Women can do it to men too. Everybody, regardless of gender, is an equal opportunity asshole as a group. So when you're saying that, well, you're abuser, you're abusing Becky, I believe that. You have neglected your animals. I don't know if you're abusing them right now, but I would argue that neglecting your animals is a form of abuse, so I believe that. When it comes to you being 600 pounds, that might not technically be true, but that is where you're headed if you continue to eat the way that you eat. You have been bedbound, and you said you didn't shower for 2 months. So some of these are just things that you have admitted to being true yourself. So I can understand they would hurt if someone keeps saying them to you if they're not true now. But just because they aren't true doesn't mean that they won't be true again in the future. And they can be hurtful to hear, but the best way to shut all those fucking people's mouths, lose weight. Get back on track, lose weight, do better for yourself, get an actual therapist. And I mean a real therapist. I don't want you seeing like a nutritionist or an acupuncturist or even a psychiatrist who just writes you medication. A therapist, a counselor, someone who deals with mental health. Talk through it, get better, lose weight, take care of yourselves. The best revenge is a life well lived. People can't stand that shit. If you would only be willing to commit.
And that's the best way to put it.
Sorry, one more thing I had to add to that was, and hearing it every day, I'm sure it can change your perspective on it. But the only thing it seems to have done for you is that you've absorbed all the negative emotions from it. You've committed to essentially playing up the trope of the YouTube villain. But you haven't actually done any of the things that you should do to change that, right? You want to keep being on the internet, but you don't want to change the way that you are. One of the biggest things that people have pointed out as being an issue is the fact that you don't talk to a therapist. And she'll use the fact that she regularly sees her psychiatrist as an excuse. But as I've said before in my videos, psychiatry is not the same thing as therapy. A psychiatrist in most practices is the prescribing physician when it comes to writing medication, right? For writing prescriptions for psychiatric medication. So like anxiety medications, antipsychotics, whatever the doctor or whatever the therapist thinks is necessary. But when it comes to the actual talk therapy, the one where you talk about your emotions, all of that she is unwilling to engage with. And that's what a therapist would offer. I am not saying that medication's a bad thing. You're never going to have me, come out here being like, oh yeah, pills are a Band-Aid. That shit's nonsense. Pills are very helpful. But pills aren't the only thing that's helpful. With stuff like your pancreas, right? If you've got a pancreatic problem, just medication alone might be able to fix it. But when you've got something like a mental illness, there's two parts to a mental illness, right? It impacts your behavior and it impacts you physically. You can treat the physical symptoms of it with medication, but the behavioral aspects of it are much harder to treat with just medication. That's why you need talk therapy. That's why you need therapists in general, psychologists in general. So you're not doing anything to get better. You're just taking medications to hold you at a stalemate, to manage the symptoms. It's like if you had a very bad virus, or not a virus, I should say. So you had a very bad bacterial infection. And the doctor said, hey, if I give you some antibiotics, you'll get better. Or you can continue taking some Tylenol and just suppressing the fever. And your body isn't able to fight it off on its own. So all you do is every day you just take Tylenol and suppress the fever a little bit and you just go on with your life. But you're not actually taking any antibiotics. You're not killing the bacteria. The bacteria continues to stay there, makes you sick. Makes you sicker every single day, leads you closer and closer to death every single day. And you continue to not do the things that are required to get better. And maybe you take the antibiotics and you know what? They don't do anything. Maybe they don't help you at all. But you won't know that until you try, will you?
I'm not going to say anything. Do you think you and Becky want different things in life? Honestly, no, I don't.
I don't understand that because that is literally exactly the problem with their relationship. If what they said before was true, if what Amber and Becky have both expressed before to be true, then they are both perfectly happy with each other. They both love each other. They both respect each other. The only major problem that they have is that they literally want different things in life. Amber wants to go back to California. Becky wants to stay in Kentucky with her family. Amber wants to continue the way that they are. Becky wants to go on a journey of self-improvement and self-understanding before she's in a relationship again. Amber wants Becky to focus on her, and Becky wants to focus on herself for a while. So that's literally the definition of wanting different things. If I was with partner and partner said to me that, I don't want any children, I want to sell all of our belongings, and I want to live a nomadic lifestyle in a van, and I said, hey, I want a steady job, I want a house, and I want 3 kids, that's wanting different things in life. Those are two very different, incompatible set of wants out of life. That doesn't mean that you don't love each other, but it just means that what you want out of life is very different. So either one of you is going to have to compromise massively, or both of you are going to be miserable. So I don't know what she's talking about here. But what it says to me is that she still hasn't actually internalized anything Becky has said. I think she's still very much so in the phase of, well, I guess if this is what Becky wants, then fuck it, right? But she's not willing to actually listen to or understand or engage with any of what Becky's saying.
I don't think we want different things in life. I think that we're just different in a way. Like how, it's just like little things. Like she wants to decorate the living room how she wants to, but then I want to decorate the living room how I want to. Like it's stupid, but it's just like a bunch of like little things that just like, I guess, added up.
That's literally not what Becky said at all. And those are not the reasons that people break up with someone after 4 years and an engagement. You don't break up with someone because you can't, compromise on living room decorations. That's idiotic. Becky was very clear. She broke up with you because she felt like within this relationship, she could not focus on just herself to get better. She literally said this. She literally said that she wants to stay here, and you've literally said you don't want to stay here. So what are we talking about here, Amber?
How are you going to take care of yourself when Becky leaves? Becky does not take care of me. I don't know literally how many times I have to say it and how many different ways I have to say it. I don't know what you guys think that she does for me that I can't do myself besides drive. Literally, there's Ubers for that.
I'll just point out really fast that when she had a very particular issue with the way that Becky had put the bread or something like that in the trunk of the car, she didn't get out and go do it herself. right? And that shows a level of dependency and laziness. I don't think there's stuff that Becky does for her that Amber can't do for herself. But there's a lot of stuff that I think Becky does that Amber won't do for herself. Like putting away the dishes, doing the dishes, taking out the garbage, walking the dog. Those are things Amber can do but chooses not to because of laziness. And Amber will have to do all of them. And I think rather than do them, she's just going to become like hermited. As for the Uber thing, I've already discussed that in length when we found out that they'd broken up, right? I don't know if Amber can comfortably sit in most cars. She gets into Becky's, and Becky might be fine with Amber not wearing a seatbelt, but most people, most Ubers would not be. If you don't wear a seatbelt in their cars, they're going to kick you out because it's a liability for them. So she's saying that she can fit into like a regular car. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that she can fit into an Uber, because in an Uber, you're going to have to wear a seatbelt. Can you put on a seatbelt?
Say you aren't.
Sorry about that. I don't think so. I think that her fat sits on top of the place where you buckle the belt in. And she has never worn a seatbelt in any of the things that I've seen her. There was this one time when she'd lost the weight where she was like, look, I can buckle up my seatbelt. And she was struggling. Okay? So the fact that she's gained weight back since then, almost like 50 pounds, I doubt. I very much so doubt. And when it comes to taking care of Amber, there is more than just like the one type of caretaking, right? There's more than just having to physically wash her and help her to wash her hair or her back or whatever, right? We've seen Amber's arms do not reach the bottom of her stomach. So how well she can clean herself, I don't know. Maybe she has a bidet or something like that, right? Because that might help fix some of the problems. But there are other things, emotional things that Becky provides her with that Amber will no longer be getting from her. Amber had said in one of her previous streams that she tells Becky how she feels all of the time. I'd called it trauma dumping because that's what it seems like to me. So she will no longer have Becky for that. And yes, you can talk to your friends about it, but if Becky is focusing on her own emotional growth, she might not have the space for Amber in her life the way that she used to when they were together. So what essentially I think that Amber is going to miss out on the most is that aspect of it. She no longer has the space to unburden herself emotionally. And without her confiding in a therapist or somebody like that, she's not going to have an outlet at all. And I think that it's going to lead to her eating even more.
600 pounds, do a weigh-in right now on camera, prove it. So my weight is no one's business but my own. And that's on that. What?
Sure, it's not anybody's business. You don't have to talk about it, but you do often talk about your weight, your health, everything on your channel. So, people are going to ask about it. It's not any of their business. They don't have a right to know. I agree with her on that.
I shouldn't have to prove what my weight is or share my weight. I don't have to do that.
Agreed.
I haven't filmed weight loss videos in a very long time.
True.
So we can't even consider this a weight loss channel anymore. This is just a channel about me.
I don't believe that, because people are still both A, here for the weight loss, B, every time they start leaving, you re-engage them with either weight loss content or mukbangs. And the other aspect of this that I will say is that she doesn't have to disclose any of this information, but then she also has to understand that people can and will use the information to run wild. Because like I said, this is a story we tell about a story. When we don't have all the information, we'll fill in the blanks. So you don't have to tell us, but then people are going to do shit like compare your face now to what your face looked like before, compare the way that you're walking now to how you walked before, and then they're going to talk about it. And people might assume you're 600 pounds, they might assume you're 650 pounds. You don't know that. You can't control that narrative. So you want to shut people up and you're not that weight, prove it. If not, then understand people are going to make up stories and just live with it. Those are really your only two options, right? And I don't care which one she does. She doesn't have to talk about her weight. I very rarely talk about her weight. I talk about her health and how I think she's doing poorly, but I don't really talk about her weight as an absolute because it's honestly irrelevant.
Can I fit in an Uber?
What?
An Uber's not some like weird ass like vehicle made just for Uber. It's a damn car. Yes, I can fit in Uber.
Right, but you can't fit in an Uber comfortably. If you get a car that's say like an SUV where you have to like step up and literally pull yourself into the seat, can you do that? Can you take that one step higher? Or do you need to only have like sedans, like low cars? And if it is a sedan, can you buckle yourself in without a seatbelt extender? And if you do need a seatbelt extender, will you be taking that with you so that you can attach it in every place you go? Will you feel comfortable doing that in public? When someone just says a short comment like, can you fit in an Uber, they don't just mean the literal sense of can you actually physically get inside of an Uber. There is a lot of logistical issues there that you're not addressing. The biggest one of which being if you cannot buckle a seatbelt, they will not let you ride in the fucking Uber.
I fit in all cars that I've been in. Like, what do you mean?
You know what? You know what they mean. You know what they mean. She's just doing this because she doesn't want to actually engage with the question on any deeper level. She's like, well, I can get inside, can't I? What does that mean? That has nothing to do with it. Being able to use the service of Uber is not the same as being able to physically fit into a car. I can stuff myself into the trunk of a car. Doesn't mean I can comfortably ride in it.
That right there, that's harassment. Just get a fucking life, bro. Like, can I fit in an Uber? No, I can't at all, actually.
Yes, she really can't at all, actually. And also, that's not harassment. You can't leave your comments open and ask people to ask you questions and then be surprised when you get questions that you don't like. That's not how harassment works. If I came up to you and I started asking you that out of the blue while you were outside grocery shopping, that'd be harassment. Look up the definition of harassment. That's not what it is. And these are people who are paying to ask you questions, so I'd shut my mouth, especially when I'm having money troubles. Right now, they're the ones who are paying for your, I don't know, addiction to acrylics and whatever else garbage plastic you want to buy to fill our landfills with.
Y'all need to stop watching 600 Pound Life. Like, for real.
She is not that far away from my 600 Pound Life. Or has she conveniently forgotten about the mattress on the floor that she had to sit on because she couldn't comfortably sit on the couch anymore?
I'm selling my stuff because I ain't got money like I used to. And I'm trying to save money. We're both moving. Crazy shit's about to happen. Not about to happen, but soon. So we're trying to both save money and make money where we can and how we can. And I love getting rid of stuff, so it's like kind of works out.
So two things. I made an entire video talking about Amber's financial situation. I've always suspected that she's not particularly great with finances. It's got to do a lot with the way that she behaves with food. A lot of that is indicative of just other aspects of her personality. And when she said that, and I love getting rid of stuff. Now, I wanted to flag that really fast. I think I've talked about this briefly before on my channel, but when I was younger, when I first started having my own money, I developed a bad habit very fast. I spent so much money on makeup. Like, you guys would not believe the amount of money I spent on makeup. Like, I'm talking thousands of dollars every single year. I think my max was one year I spent almost like $6,000 or $7,000 on makeup. It was like every free penny I had in a whole year I was spending on makeup. It was craziness. Every birthday, every anniversary, everything. I asked for just gift cards to Sephora and Ulta so I could get more makeup. And part of the problem with that was that I was watching a lot of videos where all they would talk about is the latest, newest thing. And I couldn't resist, right? I had never had the ability to splurge like that before. I didn't grow up rich like that. So I would use any free money I had to buy the things that I wanted for myself now because I'm like, I'm an adult, I got money, I can do what I want. But that's not the way that you live when you're an actual adult. As the philosopher Jay-Z once said, you can't afford something until you can buy it twice. And fundamentally, I was putting that to the limit right there. There were a lot of things in my life that I was just barely scraping by on so that I could afford essentially what had become an addiction. And one of the things I loved the most was getting rid of things. Because when you have a problem like this, when you have a problem with collecting things like that, of just buying things and owning them, it isn't about the actual physical item. There were very few things that I bought that I would look at now and think, wow, I really like this objectively. Most of the time, I would buy something and I would just want to have it because I wanted to experience that thrill of wanting something. And even every once in a while now, I'll get that thrill. When I'm feeling sort of down in my life, when I'm feeling bored, I want that. I have this feeling where I wish I wanted something, where I want to buy something and I don't want anything fundamentally. But I want that feeling of wanting something, of craving something new, of that excitement of placing the order, of waiting for it to come in the mail, And I haven't had that in quite a while. I think the closest I got was when I ordered new bras from Third Love. And they're great, by the way. If you guys haven't tried the company, I really like their products. But that was the closest I got to it. Amber likes getting rid of stuff for the same reason. Because when you get rid of things, it creates space in your life for more things to come in. It is just the binge and restrict cycle all over again, but with things. because you buy a bunch of things and then you're like, yay, I'm happy. And then you're like, oh, I can't have this. So you go into restriction mode. You're like, I have too much stuff. I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. You give all of your stuff away, right? You give a bunch of your stuff away. You're like 80% decluttered, 50% decluttered, massive amount of things, hundreds of palettes I got rid of. And then when you feel that urge again, you're like, well, I don't have that much stuff now, so I can buy, right? It's the same thought process that goes into binging. You eat a massive amount of food to satisfy an emotional need with a physical object. And then when you've eaten all that food, you feel gross, you can't stand it. You're like, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I did this. I'm going to gain so much weight. This is so bad for myself. I got to get a handle on this. So you go into restrict mode and you're like, I'm only going to eat 500 calories today. And then the next day, when you can't stand it anymore, you eat something and you're like, I was so good yesterday. I should get to eat whatever I want. And it just repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats. Everybody's prone to doing it to a certain extent, but Amber displays it in all aspects of her life, and she's done it for a very long period of time. That's why I made that entire video talking about how I don't think that Amber has as good a grasp on her financials as she says she does.
It's not that I didn't.
I'll link it up below, by the way.
I didn't go broke. It's just, once we moved here, the rent on this place is wild. It is insanity. It's a lot for Kentucky. Plus my medical bills, because last year, you guys know, diagnosed with cancer, hysterectomy.
So a couple things here. One, when she moved into this newer place, whenever I move, I set a budget for myself, right? Like I go through all of my finances. I look at all of my statements. I look at what we spend on average every month, like groceries, cars, like car bills, all of that stuff. And then I look at what we have left over and how much we're putting into savings and the goals that I have for the future and how much money I need for that, how much I can comfortably take away from that. And sometimes it's like, oh, cool, I did well. I got a promotion this year, so I can maybe afford something nicer. It's the same thing with that I do for vacations. It's how much room do I have in my budget for what I need. You need to have very clear, like, financial, both goals and also tracking of what you're spending your money on. And I am in the very fortunate position that I do have disposable income at my disposal. So I do all of that financial planning. And then I look at, okay, now this is the maximum I can afford. What can I comfortably afford? Because I don't want to ever be in the situation where I'm spending money and if there's ever an emergency like a hospital bill, all of a sudden I no longer have that cushion. I always want that cushion. I spent a lot of my childhood not having any kind of buffer. And I felt so much anxiety about that I don't ever want to live like that. I would just rather have less. I would just rather have less stuff. I would just rather have less things. I would rather have a less nice car and a crappier place to live. But I don't want that emotional, that psychological stress that comes with always feeling like the bills are one step behind you, like nipping at your heels, right? If Amber had a financial planner, they could have gone through all of that with her. I don't have someone who does, I don't think we have a person who does our taxes, but other than that, I don't really have a financial advisor person. I don't have someone who sits down with me and does all of that, partially because partner really likes doing this stuff. He's very, very pedantic about it, but partially also because my finances aren't that complicated. She, however, has complicated finances. She's a YouTuber. She's an independent, she works independently. She's basically her own entity, her own business, and she can expense a lot of stuff. So getting a financial planner for her would have been a very, very smart thing. Not like a book, not like a planner, but like a person planner, right? Who will tell you, okay, this is what you have available to you at the end of each month. If you want to save X amount of money, this is what you have at your disposal, right? So if you're moving from one place to another, maybe consider getting something in this range. And she has the money to hire someone for that. She could have 100% done that. Choosing not to do that and choosing to get a place that was much nicer that you probably shouldn't have been in, that pulled Becky away from her family, that essentially just negatively impacted what looks like your quality of life overall, that reduced the amount of exercise that you're getting in total. It just seemed like poor decision making all around.
That has been scary, because literally just to take my blood, you're gonna charge me $3,000. Yeah,
this is why everyone was telling you to go get medical insurance. Do you remember when all those people, all those haters, those people were harassing you about getting medical insurance and you chose not to do it? And then you actually had a ton of healthcare bills come in. If you guys don't know this, first of all, if you're ever getting a healthcare bill and you want to get it itemized, you can ask for that. And when you look at the itemized bills, you can actually dispute a lot of those charges, and hospitals will a lot of times take them off. So try that if you want. It worked for me. Additionally, hospitals will oftentimes charge you a much higher rate if you're paying out of pocket than they would charge your insurance company. So quite literally, 90% of people who are probably going to the hospital paid less than she did for the same thing. It's an idiotic concept. If you're in the US, you guys know this, I'm a bleeding heart liberal. I want health care for all. I'm Canadian, and I don't like the fact that people in the United States don't have insurance universally. All that being said, not having insurance, like choosing to be uninsured in the United States is a bad idea, especially if you're in the precarious health condition the way that Amber is. And I do mean choosing, right? This is not the situation of someone cannot being able to afford it. She can afford it. She's choosing not to afford it. I guess more torrid, right? More torrid is more important to her than anything else. Those fucking acrylics were worth it.
Hold on. What is this? How does this person keep coming back? I don't understand. Not only that, but taxes was back in March. So, when everything hits at once, it's like, oh shit, what just happened?
But everything didn't hit at once. You knew about taxes for an entire year, right? Like, even if the pandemic was happening, you couldn't have possibly thought that you wouldn't have to pay taxes. Healthcare bills were last year. As far as moving goes, you had to know about the move when you chose it. And all of that was before the cancer. All of that was before the taxes of this year. So all of those things were things you knew. The only thing that you couldn't have predicted was that your channel would die. And honestly, even that was predictable. A lot of people, myself included, saw it coming. Your channel has been on a slow decline for a very long period of time. It's been 8 years. Your content isn't evolving. You aren't evolving, and you're not giving people the one thing that they want, which is the weight loss content. I'm not sure what you expected to happen here, buddy.
So when you move, things are more pricey, and I'm, still having to save for my taxes for next year because, it's just things fucking happen, and I'm dealing with it. It's just those medical bills and taxes. That's like really big. And plus the rent on this place and other private bills that I do and things I pay for other people and stuff like that.
So this is, see, when she says, and bills that I pay for other people, this is what I meant about Becky still entertaining her in financial abuse, right? Like, I'd mentioned as much that I think that Becky's family might not be as conducive to seeing the financial abuse that Becky might be going through, because Amber might be paying for some of their bills. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I wouldn't be surprised. She could also just be paying for her mom and whatnot. Fundamentally, I would say that you should be taking care of you first and foremost. You're nobody else's bill, especially if they're also an adult. And secondarily, once more, none of this was surprising. All of this was a long time coming. Even the health scare, right? Like, I understand her getting cancer was a little bit unexpected, but not all that surprising. Her outcomes for getting cancer were significantly higher because of her morbid obesity. And if it hadn't been cancer, it would have been something else. Being this heavy puts you at risk for a ton of things.
It's kind of just finally, it's hit me. And that's okay. It is okay. Like, do not feel ashamed to ever have money problems. It fucking happens. I'm not saying I'm poor by no means, but there are some changes that I need to make. I used to spend, this is so embarrassing.
So that's fair enough. I don't think anybody should ever be ashamed if they're struggling financially. Reach out for help, reach out to people around you. And even if they can't give you money, they might be able to give you some advice on how to get out of the situation, right? Like, I had some very, very nice people help me in my past get a handle on how I could get a handle on my makeup problem, just overall in general. And I think that she can do the same. I think there's a lot more help available out there, but you have to be able to A, ask for help, and B, you have to be willing to take the advice that they give you. And that's the problem with Amber. The few times that she reaches out, if she doesn't hear what she wants to hear, she's unwilling to engage with it, then you're not going to change or grow from that. I think that even with this, the way that she's going to cut back is going to be on stuff that she actually needs and not on the stuff that she wants, which is not a safe way to live.
No, I shouldn't say it. Never mind. Let's just move on. Oh, there's a lot more drama concerning Gabby. Oh, I don't know about it. I don't know about it. Never heard of it. Live stream?
Okay. I absolutely don't believe that. I think she likes Gabby Hanna because she likes Gabby Hanna. I think that you would have to literally be an idiot. You would literally have to be hiding under a rock to not know that there's stuff happening with Gabby Hanna. Her fans are aware of what's happening with her. It's one of the reasons why they're so mad. The other is probably because they're all 13. And I mean that quite literally. Most of her fan base is children. But the fact that you don't know says to me that you don't want to know. Right? And even if you don't know about this now, the new drama, maybe you don't know about the series that's going on. Highly unlikely given that it's everywhere. But maybe you don't know. You can't not have known that she literally defended a convicted rapist. Okay? So if there's any Gabby stands out here, fuck you and fuck her. If you know this information and you are still willing to stand by her, sorry, you're trash. She's trash and you're trash too. She's literally a rape apologist. I don't care how good the song Monster is. It's unforgivable. Unforgivable.
Takes no effort, vlogs do. I disagree.
Of course she would, because admitting otherwise would be admitting that she's lazy. And despite the fact that she's nearly 600 pounds, we can't have people thinking that she's lazy.
I've always thought about this, because I've done both, obviously. Vlogging to me is easier. Let me say something.
Okay, she goes into some convoluted explanation of why, because emotionally she finds vlogging to be much more easy and stuff like that, where else this can be much more harder. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is that like emotionally she doesn't have to engage with any of the comments that people are giving her. But quite frankly, she's not particularly engaged with them now. And as a content creator, someone who's done both lives and has made videos, I can tell you for a fact that making videos is significantly harder than going on live. Because all I have to do for lives is put on a face and makeup and hop on there. 9 times out of 10, I don't even have to have a particular topic. People who come into your chat will want to talk to you about shit. Right? You just have to answer questions. She's not even preparing content that she wants to talk about. It's not even like a live where you have a topic of discussion and you have intellectual thoughts to give. Like Kimberly Nicole Foster, a channel that I really love. Her channel name is For Harriet. She often has lives. But she has a topic that she wants to discuss, and she listens to her audience, but she also fundamentally brings a lot to the table. Not everyone does that. Amber doesn't do that. Chantel doesn't do that. So all you're doing on here is essentially just getting on camera and talking, answering questions. Anyone can do that. Any idiot can do that. And you're not even willing to answer them truthfully. You're not even willing to engage with them on a deeper basis. Get out of here that vlogs are less content. And she's only doing 2 of these a week, by the way. She has to sit down for 2 weeks and she has to do this. She was doing vlogs, 3 times a week?
If you guys think that just because a person is sexually attracted to, I'm just going to say me, that they're a feeder, that is some internalized fucking fat phobia on your end. So really think about that for a second. What?
I would agree with that. I don't think that people are attracted to Amber just because they're feeders. I think there's people out there who are just attracted to people because they're attracted to people. Just because you're attracted to someone who happens to be fat doesn't make you a feeder. It makes you a feeder if you are attracted to them only because they're fat, right? If someone loves you, then they love you. It's regardless of their weight. But if someone only loves you when you are 600 pounds, then they love the fat. They don't love you, right? You know that common trope that is it a crush or am I in love? Ask him to get a haircut. It's basically akin to that. If someone loses the weight, would you still be attracted to them? If your answer is no, then there you have it. But you shouldn't assume that anyone who's attracted to Amber is fat phobic. That they're a feeder. That is actually fat phobic. I would 100% agree with that.
1 more hour.
Wait. I have one question. All fat phobia is internalized. How?
Doesn't matter.
Listen, let me talk. Let me talk. Okay. Everybody watches Family Guy, right? Y'all remember that part with Stewie, with the trumpet following the fat guy? Everybody remembers that.
Yep.
Why? Why was it a fat guy? Why can't it be a skinny guy?
What are you saying?
What am I saying?
Yeah.
Fat phobia is a thing.
Oh, for sure. And if you sit
People
there...
will literally cross the street to avoid having to walk by a fat person. I've seen it.
Yeah, and if you sit there and someone compliments me and says that I'm hot or whatever, and you call them a feeder, you're being fat phobic.
I know this is a hot take, but I very much so agree with them. Fat phobia is very, very much a real thing. I have been like skinny, and I have been fat. Like when I was at my worst, when I had hormonal water retention issues, when it wasn't all water retention, I'm not saying that, but there was a lot of water retention issues too. Like my feet were swollen, my hands were swollen, my face was swollen. I'm telling you that people treated me different. People treated me like I had a disease of some kind. And I did, but it wasn't. It wasn't a transmissible disease. I was sick. I had a hormonal imbalance, but it was literally just my body being fucked up. Like that has nothing to do with anything else. I can't pass it on to you. I didn't smell. I'm actually one of those people who wears perfume a lot. Even if I sometimes think I smell like a sweat, I will put on perfume just so it's never an issue. I don't stink when I sweat, and if I ever sweat, I have to shower right away. I shower every single day regardless, sometimes multiple times a day because I'm on the East Coast right now. It's like humid as balls here. So I know it's not that, right? So I know it has something to do with them and the way that they react to me. And I'm telling you, I get treated better when I am thinner. People are kinder to me. I get offered seats. I get offered tickets. I've had literally people walk up to me in grocery stores and offer to pay for my groceries. Like, that is so weird. I don't even know how that's I don't even know that was a thing you could do. Fat phobia is a very real thing, but not everything is fat phobia. And the issue that I have with both Amber and Chantal is that when you say that all the hate you're receiving is fat phobic, when you say all the hate is just due to that one thing, you essentially take the power out of a lot of people's hands, because then people assume that, oh, well, if everything is fat phobic, then fat phobia doesn't have a meaning, right? Internalized fat phobia is when I hate the way that I look in certain clothes only because I am fat. It has nothing to do with the outfit itself. That's internalized fat phobia. If I think I have inherent less worth because I'm fat, if I think that I don't deserve something because I'm fat, or that I do deserve harassment or bad treatment or abuse or, I don't know, getting stuck with an unfair ticket because I'm fat, right? That's internalized fat phobia. Externalized fat phobia is when you call somebody fat when they're literally not doing anything to you, when you discriminate against people because they're fat, because you don't hire somebody because they're fat. But not everything is fat phobic. Me saying that I think Amber neglects her pets is not fat phobic, because I don't think she neglects her pets because she's fat. I think she neglects her pets because she's selfish. Those are not mutually exclusive. Gabby Hanna is also selfish, and she's very thin. So.
Yeah, why can't you find someone attractive no matter what their size is?
I agree.
Don't you guys love when hair does that thing it does?
Oh.
Becky is having a deep, meaningful conversation about attraction, and she's just like, look at my hair, look at my hair. She's unwilling to engage with it, because to engage with this comment would mean acknowledging that people also dislike her because of her behavior. They might dislike her because she's fat, but they also dislike her for very valid reasons. And she can't acknowledge that, because that would mean that the world is in black and white and that there is fault on her end. And God forbid that.
Okay, tell me this.
You guys are probably like, what are you
guys like skinny people, like really skinny people? Are you a starver?
The only thing that I would say in regards to that is if you're attracted to like supermodel skinny, like people who are like Eugenia Cooney, unhealthy skinny, yes, you might have a fetish towards people who are very, very unnaturally thin. That's also a thing. But if you're just attracted to healthy body weights, that's more to do with health than anything else, right? People are attracted to people within a healthy body weight range, or maybe even just slightly heavier, especially when it comes to men attraction to women, because there is a biological imperative there. If you look at someone and you want a family, you want to have a happy, healthy, active life, you want to be with them for the next 45 years, and this person is maybe like 5 pounds overweight, but otherwise fine, they're active, they do things, they might not be like avid joggers, but they might just be like regular active folk, right? You look at them and you think, okay, cool. So, when we have kids, they'll still be able to do all of those things. We'll still be able to enjoy a happy, healthy life together. They'll be with me for the next 40 years, right? If you look at someone and they are 400 pounds overweight and they can't walk and they can't move and they can't do anything for themselves, you're going to think to yourself, I don't think they can take care of themselves, much less, if a child has any needs that they'll be able to address. That's not fat phobic, and that's not only wanting people because of their weight. That's understanding that your weight will have an impact on not just the quality of life that your partner is living, but it's also going to have an impact on the quality of life that you are living and any potential children, fur or otherwise, may experience. That's simply not fat phobic. That is looking at a situation with realistic glasses on. So Becky is kind of right, but kind of wrong. And I think her own personal lived experiences biases her towards one answer than the other.
What?
I mean, it's the same logic.
Logic,
isn't it? You like to keep them skinny, so you're not going to give them food, right?
I mean, no. If you're doing that, that's starvation. That's actually illegal, very, very illegal. Whereas overfeeding someone who is on their deathbed because of morbid obesity isn't. Just like to point that out. And no, they're not the same things. Those are not comparable things. Starving someone is horrific. People who like skinny people like the fact that they can keep themselves skinny. There's very few people out there who have a fetish for starving people. Those are generally called sadists. Not in the BDSM definition of the word. I'm talking more in the sense of people who just like watching and enjoying the suffering of others in a very non-consensual way. This is not to demonize that particular subsect. Whatever gets your jollies on. I don't really give a shit. As long as it's all consensual, good for you. I'm happy.
Anyway.
Being fat phobic means that you are prejudiced against them. You treat them worse. You treat them differently. Being fat phobic does not mean you're afraid of them. Just like being a homophobe does not mean that you're afraid of gay people. Agreed. It means that you discriminate against them the same way that fat phobic people do that to fat people.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not that hard to understand.
It's not that hard to understand. I would 100% agree. But once more, people can hate people can hate gay people just like they can hate fat people for reasons that are unconnected to them being gay or them being fat. I severely dislike Milo Yiannopoulos. That has nothing to do with the fact that he's gay. I hate him because I think he's an absolute garbage monster. I can hate Nikki Haley because I think she is an absolute garbage monster. It has nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman of color or Indian. I can dislike Amber. I don't want to go as far as to say hate. I can really dislike Amber because I think that she is a garbage person. But that has nothing to do with her fat. You know what I mean? You can hate people for a variety of different reasons. If the only reason you hate them is because of that one aspect, then there's a problem. That's discrimination. But if you dislike them for things that are completely unconnected to their identity, no, that's not discrimination. I don't like Jeffree Star either. I'm not homophobic. I can dislike people all the goddamn time. There's actually quite a few people that I dislike who happen to be gay. And it's not got anything to do with the fact that they're gay, but because I consume a lot of content from the makeup community. And a lot of them are either women or they're gay men, right? There's very few straight men in the makeup community. And I don't know what to tell you. There's a lot of snakes in the makeup community too. I don't hate women. I don't hate gay people. It's just those are the people that are there. And a lot of them are shitty, right? I could say that Cole Kerrigan is a garbage person. That doesn't make me controversial. It doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make me homophobic. That's because he's a liar. He's a liar and a leech. So, yeah, some things are fatphobic. This is not. I don't like you because I don't like you. The fact that you're fat is a byproduct of your own psychology. And honestly, a lot of times, it's irrelevant to the conversation. I've already said.
And I deal with it every single day.
I'm sure she does.
So.
I'm sure she does. But I also think that she also engages with a lot of actual well-meaning comments from people that she dismisses as fat phobia, because to engage with them on a realistic manner would mean, once more, acknowledging her own faults, acknowledging that she is also the problem. And Amber can't do that.
She's like, okay, I'm too old for that.
I'm enough. That's enough.
Poor Twinkie Star.
But yeah, we'll play. Oh my god, when I give her the zoomies, when she has the mother zoomies, bro, It is so fun. We'll play and jump. Okay, I won't jump. I'll chase her though. You guys think I'm some like crippled person, like disabled. I'm not, I promise. I'm not the bedbound you think. Things are hard for me. Things are
Okay. I left this comment in here specifically because she said, I'm not the bedbound you think I am. Well, you were the bedbound you thought you were, right? You had admitted that you were bedbound in the past. You admitted that you literally couldn't move from your bed. You weren't housebound just yet. Sorry, you were housebound. You weren't bedbound just then. I mixed those two around. But you were housebound for a good portion of time. You couldn't even sit on the couch anymore. So you were getting to that bedbound place. So when you say you're like running around, you're chasing Twinkie, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like for you. And Amber has been heavy her entire life. I am telling you, when I was at my heaviest, I could not do so many things that I could do before. I had gone on a hike with friends, and God, this was like a 3-mile hike, which at my best is nothing. I can walk 3 miles with my eyes closed, right? I could barely make that walk. I was tired. I felt exhausted. My back ached. And I was nowhere near as heavy as she is now. I can only imagine how shit her body must feel all the time. And I don't think she has any experience with what it's like to not be so limited by your fat. So when she says that I am not like crippled, I shouldn't say the word crippled. I don't like that. When I'm not disabled, she doesn't have anything to really compare it to. She's never been a healthy body weight. How would you know what it's like to live in a healthy body weight? How would you know? Because these are relative terms, right? Everybody's mobility is going to be slightly different. I have friends who have naturally more athletic builds than I do. They've got wider shoulders, longer legs. I've got one friend of mine, I swear she's all legs. She's like 2 inches taller than I am. She's in great shape. She can do hikes that I would only dream of doing.
Yeah, but no. I'm really fat. Okay, let's have a conversation. Y'all.
I just want to add in here, I know the video is getting kind of long. I still want to get through it. It's just about 1 minute and 20 seconds left. But she's saying this all the while she talked about how her weight is none of our problem, okay?
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Every night, I'm like, when I wake up, I'm going to count calories. And I'm going to lose weight and become the next Victoria's Secret supermodel.
Even if she could lose the weight, she's too short for that. That sounds kind of mean, but that's one of the biggest like issues I had with Tess Holliday too. Victoria's Secret models are all over like 5'8", 5'10", and Tess Holliday's like 5'3", Amber's like 5'3".
And then when I wake up, I don't do it. I don't know what I do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
See a therapist. See a therapist and work through your emotional pain, and then see if maybe that helps. Maybe it will. More than likely, I feel it will. But you won't know until you go to therapy.
I don't know what to do.
Therapy. Therapy is what you should do. Go to therapy.
Hi, Kylie.
Hi, Kylie.
Courtney said hello.
Hi, Courtney.
Don't overwhelm yourself. I know, but it's like, I'm very much all or nothing type of gal.
You really are, and it's so annoying.
Like, Queen of Moderation has left the chat, and all or nothing Princess is here to stay, I think, for a little bit.
She's never been good at moderation. I mean, I want you to name one time where she's been moderate about anything in her entire life. She has this view that everything is all or nothing. She's always been like this. So at least she has self-awareness now.
So maybe they need to meet each other and do a little like scissoring to create therapy. Wait, what am I saying? I'm getting off. It's been nice. I've had a lot of fun. I'm making no sense at this point.
All right. That's it for Amber. So here's the thing. The last comment that Amber made is basically about how like those two entities, all or nothing, and the Queen of Moderation need to meet in the middle. No, not really. The Queen of Moderation is already a middle ground. All or nothing or executive dysfunction. It's like you do everything all of the time or you do nothing all of the time. Those are the two extreme ends, and she tends to go back and forth between the two. Queen of Moderation is right in the middle, and she's never been there. She's never been there. So I think that the best place for you to work this out is in therapy. I know I say it every single time, but we are not the people who are going to be able to help you with that. Becky can't even help herself. How is she going to help you with it? you need to go talk to someone who is actually a professional in this, who could potentially help you work through whatever issues you have so that you come out the other side healthier, paler, stronger, more capable of dealing with life. And I genuinely think that if she can do that, she still might be able to turn her life around. It's not that late. She's still really young. She could still do it. She's like only 30. But if you don't, well, you know down the path that you're headed. And honestly, if cancer didn't scare you, I don't think there's anything that I can say that will. So, well, I'll continue watching. I'll report back on the next video. Thank you guys for being here. This is probably going to be a real long one. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you hated this video, go ahead, give me a thumbs down. All of my social medias are linked down below. I've got Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Think of Patreon as a tip jar for the internet. If you like the job I'm doing here and you'd like me to continue, consider tossing a few coins in my direction. You don't have to. It's not necessary, but I'd really appreciate it. And, as always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace. A special thank you to my patrons, Acrophobe, Ariel M, Christina, Courtney EP, Wild Rose, Xanthal, Jam Beans, Colleen L, Debbie Elliott, Just a Jude, Kate O, and D. Higgins.